Hey everybody, it's Brandon Luna, Calypso Cigar Review. I am doing the Cuban Non-Cuban challenge that is currently going on over at Stogie Friends. So what someone did basically was they decided they wanted to send out some blind cigars. Cigars aren't blind, but the reviews will be blind. Basically it's an unbanded cigar with a number on it. And this one is number, it's either 19 or 79, I can't tell because the guy who's doing this apparently writes like a kindergartner on crack. So I'm gonna say 19, it looks like 19. I don't think he sent out 79 sticks. But anyway, so the idea is you review the cigar, you tell them if it's Cuban or non-Cuban. It's TC, which I think stands for Tomcat or Total, I'm not sure, whichever. Anyway, so yeah, it's number 19, and as far as how the cigar looks and smells, you always say that, like you can know how a Cuban smells, but it has a very Cuban-esque smell to it. It's got that mustiness to it that Cubans sometimes have. It's very bumpy, very veiny. It does have a triple cap on it, so that's kind of one of those things that you look at for a Cuban, but a lot of people are doing triple caps now, so you can't really, guarantee that it's a Cuban based on that. But I would say it kind of looks like it could be a Johnny O, which is a guy that rolls supposedly with Cuban tobacco, his own cigars, or it could be something like an H. Upman. I don't know. I'm going to give it a punch and a light, and we'll see what we think here. It's very minerally, very salty, which does kind of make you think it's a Cuban, but very musty through the retrohale. This is my first cigar of the day. Did not smoke yesterday, the day before I did. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I'm going to give it a little bit to try and catch up on its own. If I have to correct it, I will. So I'll come back at the end of the first third, let you know what I think, Cuban or non-Cuban. Okay, so I'm at the end of the first third of the number 19 mystery cigar Cuban or non-Cuban challenge at Stogie Friends, and look at the ash on that. So the ash on that particular cigar has got a lot of gray in it. It's not very white, and a lot of times Cuban cigars will have a very white ash. Now, if you look at a map of Cuba and where they produce their cigars, there's a certain region called Vuelta Abajo. Now, Vuelta Abajo makes very good tobacco, but it's not that normal white, bright white tobacco that you expect from Cuban cigars. It is this kind of gray, almost zebra stripe banded ash that comes off of this cigar. Another tell on this cigar for it being possibly Cuban is the amount of mineral content in the ash. If you look very closely at the ash, you can see some spots in the ash that are basically like little white dots that show you the mineral content in this ash. If there's a lot of mineral content, that tells you about the soil for that particular area. Vuelta Abajo has a lot of magnesium in the soil, which causes those little white dots in the ash. So just looking at the cigar, not even going by flavor, looking at the ash, looking at the triple cap, looking at how toothy and just ugly that wrapper is, and looking at the amount of magnesium in the ash, I'm thinking it's from that Vuelta Abajo region, and it's probably either a St. Louis Rey or maybe a Vega Rabana. If it's a Vega Rabana, the only one that kind of fits the bill size-wise is the Famoso. So at this point, only being a third into it, I'm going to say yes, it's Cuban, and yes, it's a Vega Rabana Famoso. I could be completely wrong though, because it is a blind review, and the thing about blind reviews is you're going off what you think something is and what you kind of put in your mind as to what it is. I think it's a great way to review cigars because you go in not knowing anything, no preconceived notions. That's why I love Blind Man's Puff so much. But at the same time, it kind of works against you sometimes if you have in your head, especially with this one where it's Cuban or non-Cuban. Right now I think it's Cuban, but who knows? It may change second, third, last third. Something might change that changes my mind in the flavor of the cigar or whatever. So we'll find out. I'll come back on the second third and let you know what I think at that point as far as Cuban or non-Cuban, and if my mind's still made up with it being a Vega Rabana Famoso, we'll see. All right, so I'm about to the end of the second third here, middle maybe of the second third, and wanted to give you an update. The ash held on for most of the second third. It just dropped into my lap, so I was wearing it. But I'm still going with my original assessment. I think it is a Cuban. I don't know. I'm going to say it is. I'm probably wrong. Who knows? But it's definitely picked up in the second third. The first third, while it had a little bit of spice, it had that earthiness to it and that saltiness. The second third is very, it's gotten a little bit nutty, but not a whole lot. But there's like a real flavor here. It's like it's a wood, but it's almost like a pine, if that makes sense. Kind of a piney wood, which is interesting. I'm still saying it's a Cuban. I'm probably wrong. It's probably some dollar cigar at CI. Who knows? But that's what I'm going with right now. So I'm going to come back for the last third, give you my total assessment, and let you know what I think overall. Alright, so I'm at the last third of the mystery cigar, number 19, and as you can tell, it still has that zebra stripe ash to it, and it's kind of blooming on me a bit. It's kind of, you know, flowering out and splintery, but that could be because of the weather out here. It's 75 degrees here in Texas today, 84% humidity, so that could explain why the ash is blooming on me and why the last third got kind of squishy on me. As far as the flavor profile in the last third, I am a fan. The first third was pretty mild, pretty much mild to medium, I'd say. The second third got very mild with a lot of pine flavors to it, but that last third, baby, got back. It is back loaded for strength. So a lot of strength in that last third. That pine is kind of moved over to very much a cedar flavor. So it's like chewing on a cedar block, and you also get a lot of pepper and spice from that last third. So darn tasty cigar in the last third. I'm a fan of the last third. I'm going to go ahead and stick with my assessment and say that it's a Cuban and probably a Vega Rabana or St. Louis Rey. I hope I'm right. I don't know. You never know with blind tests. So I wanted to give a big shout out to TC over there for putting on this little event. It's just one of the many things that people do there at Stogie Friends to make it a unique and fun place to get your cigar information and talk about a lot of other stuff. A lot of great people there, so go check out Stogie Friends. And thanks, Tom, for the contest. I'm looking forward to getting the rest of these done and see how on or off base I am on everything. It's a good way to test your palate, you know. If you haven't done blind reviews, I definitely highly recommend doing it. Check us out at all the normal places you can find us, the Calypso Cigar Review, iTunes, Podomatic, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, YouTube. We're everywhere. And it has been great smoking with you.